We start off GTA in a robbery, and they're immediately introduced to the main protagonists, Michael, Trevor, and Brad. Don't get too attached to the last guy, and believe it or not, we are currently committing a crime, and also have nice conversations with bombs. Run into the vault, grab the money, and walk out. But turns out there's a bold police officer waiting for you. Oh no, what could we possibly do? While breaking into banks, exploding vaults, and unhonorably discharging security guards causes a bunch of policemen to show up. Shoot your way through the cops and jump into the car that's definitely not suspicious of being an asset in the crime that it just happened to be parked right next to. I think they figured it out. Introduced them to Mother Nature and drive away. We have to make it past the train to our escape, which seems easy enough.
Stick to the plan.
So was this a part of the plan? Then the cops pull up, forcing Trevor and his mullet to run away into the distance. Now with Michael having his funeral, kinda weird that Brad didn't get a funeral. Actually nah, he was pretty useless. I don't think the developers actually cared about him. Also, surprise surprise, Michael's alive. I know, who would have thought? Then skip 9 years later to present Michael getting therapy lessons from Bob Ross, which goes how most therapy sessions go.
Oh, I'm living a dream, baby. And that dream is it is. Let it all out.
Then Bob Ross tells Michael that the session has ended and it is time to leave. He then sits on a bench, but Michael's bench sitting time quickly gets interrupted by two more protagonists, Franklin and Lamar. So now you're playing as Franklin because stealing cars is a lot more fun than benches. Make sure you drive carefully because crashing this car would definitely affect the price. Make it to the destination with your car looking like it just came out of a horror movie, but now we have the police on us. I wonder what we could have possibly done to have the police want to arrest us. Simply just drive away and spend 30 seconds out of the police radar and they'll just simply give up. Drive your mint-condition car to the car dealership, where you see this bold guy, presumably your boss, using his ultimate gaslighting abilities to make a sale. Does sound pretty accurate to an actual car salesman. And then drive back to Franklin's house. Go back to the dealership to help your boss with more repossessions. Drive to the location, hop a fence, bully a homeless man, stare at a few residents, and figure out that there is no bike. Then some fine gentlemen come over to have a chat. It's safe to say that that's the last stranger that he's ever approaching. Shoot through the mob of nameless enemies and see the bike trying to drive away. Finishing the mission of repossession. Go back to your boss and he sends you on another mission to commit breaking and entering to steal a car from the kid he gaslit like 15 minutes ago. Drive to the house, sing the gardener a bedtime story, and successfully break in. Sneak through and find the car, but soon realize that our boy Michael was laying down in the back the whole time and forces you to drive through the window to your workplace. Alright, but like, do I have to? I'll make you watch Diary of the Wimpy Kid. Oh, well, that's not that bad. The 2017 movie. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that you're probably not employee of the month anymore. Introduce Simeon to the car door, hit him with a few combos, and walk out with multiple assault charges on my right and a UFC belt on my left. Michael and Franklin then talk about capitalism, but then Michael's son calls him and says that his boat has been stolen and he's been kidnapped. Jump into the car to go save him. The boat I meant, not the son. See the boat going on a joyride through the highway to where Franklin jumps onto the boat and grabs Jimmy. Then Jimmy gets thrown across by this thing and is currently dangling for his life, so rescue him and grab Franklin. Your car's engine has officially found its 13th reason and shuts off, so drive down to Los Santos Customs to get the engine fixed. Then drive Jimmy back home because you're now dubbed the babysitter of this man-child since Michael took a taxi. Jimmy asks if you want to be friends with him, which you can do, but you also can not do. As Franklin, you can do some Strangers and Freaks missions, which consist of driving a tow truck and having nice conversations. Go back to Franklin's house and get introduced to Chop, another amazing character to add onto the collection. As a dog, he has the basic dog skill set of barking, biting arms, and chasing balls. Meanwhile, Michael currently has a half-naked tennis coach in bed with his wife, who jumps out the window, definitely suffering severe ankle and back injuries, and at the same time, Franklin shows up. He decides to help Michael to where they chase the half-naked tennis coach up a big hill till they reach his house. Turns out it's not his house and actually the house to a Mexican gang leader. Take out a few angry men with guns and drive back home to relax. You have to find some way to repay Mr. Angry Man with a bat because you took down half of his house, which will probably cost a lot of money. And considering your only notable skill is bank robbing, you do just that. Go to your friend Lester's house. He says you need to do a favor for him before he helps you with anything, which involves dressing up like the only woman you've been near was on the other end of a computer screen, and make your way to an off-brand Facebook so you can rig a phone that's going to be displayed on TV so you can show exactly what happens when you disrespect the Discord admin. After this, Lester finally agrees to help you with the heist. Meanwhile, Franklin is having his own problems involving a shootout and talking to a guy called Stretch who backstabs you later on because he's a dick. Michael has to set up his heist. You can either go smart, strategic, and easy, or stupid. Grab the equipment for the heist and go back to Leicester to discuss the plan. So the plan is, we're gonna take stuff. Is that clear? Drive to the store, get all the diamonds and shiny things, and walk out. Then after a little bit of driving and playing bumper cars, you finally make it out. Go back to Michael's place to celebrate, but it turns out Trevor was watching the news while getting his 60 seconds of cardio in, and here's Michael's signature catchphrase from that policeman earlier. So it turns out his best mate Michael is alive, and acts as any normal person would after hearing that information. Trevor also has a lot of competition, so he goes to deal with them as well. Then after being denied promoting his business, he acts as any normal person would after hearing that information. Trevor's friend Wade gives him information on Michael's location, so they go to find him, and also leave their other friends a nice gift. Trevor then makes it to Los Santos, and meanwhile for Michael,
Namaste. Nah, man, go fuck yourself.
Then Trevor pops up and him and Michael have that awkward conversation after Michael ghosted him for 10 years and took all the money. On a completely unrelated topic, Michael's daughter Tracy is on a show called Fame or Shame. Michael and Trevor go to save her because she makes horrible choices when it comes to a career. Go talk to your friendly federal agent Dave, who smacks you in the back of the head, knocking you out like most friends do after just meeting up. You now have to do various businesses with your friendly federal agent Dave and his buddies because they are blackmailing the hell out of you. Michael and Trevor get called by the friendly federal agent Steve to torture a probably innocent man to get details on a man to assassinate. But despite all the details we're given, we just go off a wild guess. We get some more missions from the federal agents and their good billionaire mate Devon, consisting of stealing cars and transporting them halfway across the map to a location where Devon's assistant takes the cars and also our money because we don't get paid, and also do some more work for Martin Madrazo. Yeah, remember that guy who got his house destroyed by someone who may or may not have been me, to where he beat us with a bat and made us rob a bank for millions and now we're best friends. He gets us to do some work, which involves chasing down a falling jet and killing his cousin. That wasn't a force of habit, he actually told us to do that. Steal a briefcase with some important documents and Martin Madrazo's wife. Wait, what? Michael and Trevor have to go into hiding but get tracked down by our favorite FIB buddies and get us to do some more work because apparently they're almost gonna get caught or something. I don't know, who cares? But we have to get the funds to pay for the operation, and considering we can't go into the city and we don't really have any other notable skills,
Face the music.
Trevor's got his own plans to steal from a big train and grab this thing. What am I looking at? But we decide to give the statue to Martin Madrazo because I know we did kidnap his wife, but I'm pretty sure a tiny golden statue is an easy way to fix things up. And we also give his wife back. Trevor goes to Michael's house to talk about freeing their friend Brad from prison. And if you happen to have forgotten who Brad was, Trevor finally puts it all together and goes to figure it out at the place that Michael was buried, the North Pole. Or something like that. He digs up the grave to see Brad sitting nice and cozy and kinda dead, but then some friends of Trevor shows up and kidnap Michael. Then the kidnappers call Trevor and say if he doesn't show up then they're gonna have Michael on the not living side of things, and considering the events that have occurred so far, I think he's gonna be fine with that. After a while, Franklin and Lester get suspicious of Michael's disappearance, so Franklin goes to ask Trevor if he's seen Michael. Then Trevor gets kinda mad and says that he may have gotten Michael kidnapped and he may be getting tortured right now, and then lets out his anger on the nearest civilian.
Nothing.
Whilst Michael is dangling from a hook and being tortured by these clearly fine and nice gentlemen, Franklin uses a tracking device to track down Michael to a meat factory and then saves him. Our favorite FIB buddies have more problems to deal with, and guess who's dealing with them? It's you. But go to the FIB building to delete some files from the last bank robbery you did because apparently your FIB buddies were a part of it, even though they weren't. But the reason we're deleting the files is because their FIB buddies, who aren't really their buddies, don't think that they're their buddies. Yeah, it's kind of stupid. Our getaway helicopter had a little crash, but I'm sure he's fine.
No, he didn't make it.
Jump out of the building, go to Franklin's home to celebrate the last day of mass murder and covering up crimes for your corrupt FIB buddies. But of course not, because your not so friendly federal agent is double crossing you, and then we have this odd face off between all these different people. And just as you think you're about to become home to 30 consistent bullets from a helicopter, Trevor saves you like Michael's knight in shining armor, but not really to save you, just for one last big score. But despite this score being the biggest bank in the country, it was incredibly easy. We literally just walked in and out with the gold in our hands. I mean, just forget about the 100 Merryweather soldiers that we gunned down, and we got away pretty easily. Settle down for a bit while you wait for your money to be given to you. Of course not. Billionaire Dave says you either have to kill Michael or Trevor or just die. Go to Lester for advice on what you're supposed to do, because now you have a billionaire with probably a bunch of connections trying to kill you, and the answer to that question is pretty simple. Just do what you're best at, which is mass murder. Then go to kidnap Mr. Billionaire Devin Weston. Michael, Trevor, and Franklin say one last goodbye right before pushing him off a cliff so he can drown. Finally completing the story of GTA 5.